Hi everyone, I'm Josh and I'm back with another video on behalf of NacoaUK, talking about my experiences as the child of an alcoholic, and today I'm going to be talking about self-worth. And so it's something I've been thinking about over the course of the day really, and about how I'm going to try and put it into words, because it's a tricky subject to get to put into words, such a deep-rooted internal feeling really. I want to try and get across that this isn't just a case of, having quite a low opinion of myself, or not being able to have any good opinions of myself. This, for me, has always been a deep-rooted feeling that I'm not worthy, and so worthless really is the word I felt worthless that I should use, but kind of even doesn't really feel strong enough. And I think because I never spoke about how I felt when I was growing up, and I was never really sharing my thoughts and feelings with anyone on the planet, it meant that I was kind of having to guess what normal was with regards to how I should be feeling about myself, or anything for that matter. And so what I always did is I was measuring up how I felt about myself on the inside against how people looked on the outside, which kind of meant I was onto a loser in that respect anyway. But certainly when I was at school, I didn't want people to know, I didn't want my peers to know how worthless I felt, because for me it wasn't a feeling, it was the truth. The way I felt about myself was the truth to me. So the fact that I felt worthless meant that, to me, actually deep down I believed I was worthless. And so at school I hid it with a cocky arrogance really. I hid it with a false confidence, sort of puffed up my chest and deflected onto other people, being nasty about other people and all that sort of thing when I was a kid at school. And it was a really difficult thing to deal with, and I was always trying to find the answer, trying to find what it was that was gonna make me feel better about myself, or make me be a better person so I could feel better about myself. But I was always chasing external stuff, it was always really material things that I was chasing that I thought would make me a better person, and so I was trying to fix an internal problem with external stuff. So again, I was onto a loser. But because I wasn't talking about the ways that I felt, and I wasn't talking about my feelings of worthlessness, it kind of progressively got worse for me really. Felt like the more I masked them and the more I tried to hide it, the more, like a lot of stuff really, the more powerful it got. And it became harder and harder for me to mask as I got older, because some of the coping mechanisms I was using started to have negative consequences as I got older. And as I started to try and form proper relationships with people, and I mean all sorts of relationships with my family, friendships, loving relationships, it was near on impossible really, because I had an inability to see myself truly in any positive light. So everything really felt kind of false to me. And one thing I did find is that I was always able to deal with insults really, and that's not to say they didn't hurt. I mean, they did hurt quite badly, but I was able to deal with them. I just couldn't deal with any positive talk about me, that any compliments. That really gave me a really uneasy feeling, because I would have thoughts of, if only you knew the truth about me, and almost sometimes like a guilt that I had managed to trick good people into feeling good about me. And so it made relationships very, very difficult. Like I say, all relationships, friendships. And so I had no real honest relationships with anyone, because I was always running away from myself, which meant I was always running away from whatever situation I found myself in. But like I say, these coping mechanisms that I had were kind of unhealthy coping mechanisms, because as I got into adult life, they started to have consequences, like I say. And when my children come along and they give you this unconditional love, I didn't know what to do with that, because I just I'd never felt good about myself. So how could I deal with people relying on me and having such a high opinion of me? And at its worst, my feelings of worthlessness took me to suicidal place, where I was very, very close to really going ahead with suicide. And I know it can be seen as a selfish act, but the truth is, for me, the way I felt when I reached a point where I felt like suicide was a real option, the only selfish act I thought I was committing was carrying on in this life and tarnishing everybody with my existence. And that's a terrible, terrible thing, but it comes through this feeling of worthlessness. And that's why we need to be talking about it. I think if you can just find it in yourselves to talk about it, the NacoaUK website and everything's going to be on there, and NacoaUK can do a great job at listening. And if we can all start talking about it, then we can all make progression. And my life's amazing today. My life is absolutely brilliant, and the feelings of worthlessness can arise every now and then, but I'm absolutely managing them, and I lead a good, happy life, and on a day-to-day basis don't really have these sorts of feelings. So there is an answer, but first it comes from talking about this stuff. So let's all look to try and do that if we can.